Hi guys, welcome to Animeized. This is the English translated version of the novel Throne of Steel. The novel differs slightly from the Chinese animation or Donghua. If you want more of these videos, please smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Enjoy and have a blessed day.
Sima Xian is Long Haochen's partner, and he's also Long Haochen's squire knight. His strength means that Long Haochen is safer. He's naturally willing to help. Sima Xian's opponent is a guardian knight, and unfortunately, this guy is skilled in strength as well. He had just recently reached the 6th rank, so, when faced with the raging power pill of light, he had no choice but to charge forward. Knights aren't known for their long-range attacks. The result was obvious, when the knight with his magical shield and divine guard block faced Sima Xian's power pill of light with its smashing ability and radiance ripple. The result was the shield breaking and the knight being sent flying. It's not that the knight couldn't withstand Sima Xian's attack, but he was at a disadvantage in terms of his weapon. After being knocked away, his armor exploded, and his chest felt tight, almost spitting out blood. What's more, he was sent flying, while his red-armored Earth Dragon remained behind. He watched as the power pill of light swung towards the red-armored Earth Dragon, and the knight, who cared deeply for his mount, had to admit defeat. The first round of the competition went by quickly. Long Haochen and his commander level number 21 Demon Hunting Squad were surprisingly lucky, as none of them encountered senior martial level demon hunters, and they all smoothly advanced to the second round. The second round of matches, which consisted of more than 70 battles, had already reached noon, and Ling Xiao announced that the second round would continue in the afternoon after lunch. Perhaps they had used up all their luck, because during the drawing process for the afternoon matches, Lin Xin actually drew Sima Xian, and Chen Yin drew Chai Er. As a result, the more hopeful Sima Xian and Chai Er naturally advanced, while Long Haochen, Wang Yuanyuan, and Han Yu each defeated their opponents. It's worth mentioning that Wang Yuanyuan had to fight hard to win her match. She even relied on the Shield of Giant God version of Azura Strike to win unexpectedly. Compared to the first round, the second round was obviously much more challenging. However, after going through 2 rounds, Commander level number 21 Demon Hunting Squad still had 5 members remaining, which was quite remarkable. There were only a total of 38 participants remaining now, besides Wang Yuanyuan, Sima Xian, and Han Yu. All the other qualifiers were at the 6th rank. The third round began on the following day, and the competition in this round became noticeably fiercer. Long Haochen directly encountered Wang Yuanyuan, and naturally he, as the squad leader, advanced. However, Han Yu and Sima Xian both lost their matches. Han Yu faced a formidable 6th rank summoner, and he ultimately succumbed to the attacks of the opponent's powerful summoned creatures. As for Sima Xian, he had the misfortune of encountering a peak 6th rank mage. After they distanced themselves from each other, he couldn't get close. In the end, he had to admit defeat. After this round, only Long Haochen and Chai Er had advanced. The final championship match was scheduled for the afternoon, with a total of 19 participants in the final round. Additionally, 1 participant from the previous round's extra match, who had performed exceptionally well, also made it into the top 20. However, those who entered the top 20 had also participated in the extra match, so winning the championship was clearly not an easy feat. Although they lost the match, the morale of Commander level number 21 Demon Hunting Squad was not affected at all. After all, they were still a Commander level Demon Hunting Squad. Losing to martial level demon hunters was not embarrassing at all. Moreover, there was also the issue of elemental advantages. Through this competition, they all suddenly developed a liking for that red skeleton. Both warriors and mages had significantly improved their ability to seize opportunities and combat skills on the battlefield. Even the seasoned veterans at the martial level didn't necessarily have better skills when it came to technique. Lunchtime. "Captain, you must win the afternoon match," Sima Xian said with a hint of frustration. His strengths and weaknesses were quite clear. His strength in close combat was unquestionable, and he wouldn't lose to a 6th rank opponent. However, his speed was not particularly fast, and he struggled against mages proficient in long-range attacks. Furthermore, he was most afraid of mages skilled in control and slowing effects, and unfortunately, he encountered one in the 3rd round. Long Haochen chuckled and said, "Shima, don't be disheartened. A single match doesn't prove anything." Chai Er looked at Long Haochen, her expression a mixture of smiles and non-smiles. "I hope I get to draw you this afternoon." Long Haochen ruffled her hair, instinctively embracing her slender waist. Although Chai Er's 4 senses had already recovered, he had gotten used to hugging her, and her soft, slender waist always tempted him. Long Haochen naturally understood what Chai Er meant. If the team had to ensure that one person advanced, it had to be him, because he could control entry into the Tower of Eternity, and only if he advanced could he take his teammates into the dreamlike paradise of the Divine Temple. Han Yu handed light punishment to Long Haochen. "Captain, hasn't Han Yu completed its evolution yet?" Those 6th rank demon hunters were indeed powerful, and Han Yu's cultivation was not weak either. Coupled with the 7th rank Evil Eye, but he still lost the match in the end. Long Haochen shook his head and said, "How you has been sleeping for a long time this time. I believe it should bring me some surprises after this advancement. Don't worry, even without it, I still have confidence." Back when facing the 8th rank Moon Demon, surviving was already a weighty experience for him. He had once faced an opponent with over 20,000 spiritual energy, so opponents of the same rank didn't pose much pressure anymore. Moreover, he already possessed 2 spiritual stoves, which was his advantage. Even without Haoyu, his strength among the 6th rank was still outstanding. Don't forget, with light punishment included, he has almost 5 radiant grade or higher equipment. In the trial grounds, while the majority of the matches had already concluded, they still came to watch the final championship match, to see who would make it to the top 10. It was crucial to determine who would enter the Divine Temple, so the atmosphere in the trial grounds became exceptionally tense, especially for the 20 participants about to compete. The drawing of lots began, and soon, all 20 participants had their number cards. Long Haochen and Chai Er glanced at each other, but they didn't draw each other. Chai Er had the 2nd number, while Long Haochen had the 7th number. This meant that Chai Er would compete in the first match. The afternoon had a new referee. And what was astonishing was that the Lord of the Priest Temple, Ling Xiao, stood in the arena personally. The reason Ling Xiao personally acted as the referee was straightforward: to impose authority. This was the final round of the competition, determining who would ultimately go to the Divine Temple, and every demon hunter would give their all. Ling Xiao was not willing to see injuries or even deaths resulting from demon hunter competitions in the Priest Temple. Each demon hunter was a valuable asset to the Alliance. With him overseeing the competition, he believed that no one would dare to play dirty, and even if there were any issues, his powerful 9th rank priest healing abilities could provide timely treatment. In the final round, participants number 1 and 2, please take the stage. Ling Xiao's voice was calm but resonated throughout every corner of the trial grounds. His invisible authority instantly silenced the demon hunters in the rest area. Chai Er stood up beside Long Haochen, taking slow steps toward the arena. She was still wearing her veil, and she walked into the arena with deliberate grace. The participant who drew the first number was a tall knight, appearing to be in his 30s. When he saw that his opponent was Chai Er, a hint of excitement flickered in his eyes. It wasn't just because Chai Er appeared young, but also because of their respective professions. He was a guardian knight, and guardian knights were least afraid of assassins. With their powerful defense and mounted support, he had absolute confidence in defeating the young girl in front of him. However, he didn't underestimate Chai Er just because she appeared young. Making it to the final round of the competition already proved her abilities. This young girl might not be easy to deal with. Ling Xiao deliberately kept his gaze on Chai Er for a while, as this was the championship round. And he wanted to see just how capable the girl Yin Shuifeng hailed as the next Assassin Temple Lord's successor was. She possessed the Saintess of Reincarnation constitution. Assassin versus Knight, both sides, please maintain a distance of 30 meters. The match begins. After saying this, Ling Xiao spoke calmly, and a golden light flashed beneath his feet. In the next moment, he had already arrived at the edge of the arena. An icy killing intent erupted from Chai Er almost instantaneously, and in her eyes, determination and ruthlessness shone. With the declaration that the match had begun, she charged toward the middle-aged knight on the opposite side like a black lightning bolt. Her distinctive black wings unfurled as she soared through the air. The moment Chai Er released her spiritual wings, the entire trial grounds dimmed, as if her wings absorbed the light. The air became almost frozen with her chilling killing intent surging. Even the spectators in the rest area could feel a shiver down their spines. What kind of spiritual wings were these? How could it be black? Black spiritual wings typically only appear in one situation, and that's the dark attribute. However, there are hardly any professionals with the dark attribute in the Alliance. Could it be that this girl from the Assassin Temple has the same dark attribute as demons? Only those involved don't think so. The middle-aged knight was also profoundly shocked when Chai Er released her spiritual wings, and his experience was the most intense, as the bone-chilling killing intent seemed to solidify around his body, making Chai Er's figure appear somewhat illusory in his vision. The black wings flapped forcefully, and Chai Er's already high speed increased even more, but, due to her incredible speed, her body created a sharp whistling sound through the air, leaving a series of afterimages, and 30 meters disappeared in almost an instant. How fast had Chai Er's speed become? One could tell by looking at her opponent, as there was a distance of 30 meters between them. However, he didn't have time to summon his mount. The knight wore black heavy armor, held a golden shield in his left hand, and wielded a golden sword in his right hand. Just as Chai Er approached, he shouted loudly, took a step forward with his left foot, and swung his shield toward Chai Er. At the same time, a layer of holy light shield emanated from him. This holy light shield wasn't for defense, but rather for sensing the assassin's movements. Assassins are known for their speed. By using a skill like the holy light shield, he could quickly sense her attacks and respond accordingly. This knight was also a core member of his team, and he had experience in battling assassins. However, Chai didn't engage in the expected acrobatics, but with a flash of dark gold light. She gracefully twisted her petite body, almost sliding past the edge of his swinging shield, and her short sword aimed directly for the knight's chest. The knight's reaction was quick as well, as a dragon-like roar burst from him, and a fifth-rank dragon rise suddenly erupted. But his body didn't follow the usual upward motion of the dragon rise. Instead, a brilliant golden light radiated from his body, and dragon scale-like golden spiritual energy rippled and spread instantly, blocking Chai's attack, while his right-hand sword gleamed with golden light, and he unleashed the solar eclipse slash. It's not always necessary for higher-level experts to use high-rank skills, as often. Lower-rank skills can be more important. Lower-rank skills mean lower energy consumption, and they can be cast faster. With a light, ding, sound, Chai's dark gold dagger pierced the knight's heavy armor, and then she swiftly retreated using the rebound force. The knight wasn't one to back down. He pointed his heavy sword forward, and surprisingly launched a lightning thrust with solar eclipse slash. A strange scene unfolded, amid a burst of golden light, where the tip of each lightning thrust seemed to carry a small golden sundae. This was the combination of solar eclipse slash and lightning thrust, leveraging the speed of lightning thrust to significantly increase the accuracy of solar eclipse slash, even though its power wasn't compromised. However, he was facing an assassin, and assassins weren't known for their defense. It appeared that this guardian knight had taken the upper hand, but in reality, only he knew he had actually taken a hidden blow. The knight had thought that his dragon rise combined with his combat skills would surely block Chai's previous strike, but in reality, Chai's attack was not only swift, but also extremely cunning, like a venomous snake slipping through the cracks in his defense. And her dark gold dagger pierced his heavy armor. His heavy armor didn't have any special skills, but it was a radiant-grade equipment, and its strength lay in its material. It had incredible defense, with hardness and durability far beyond ordinary metals. However, Chai's earlier dagger thrust had given him a chilling sensation. Chai's strike, though it didn't pierce through the knight's heavy armor, came incredibly close to doing so. The middle-aged knight could clearly feel that chilling sensation filled with murderous intent and deathly silence. If he hadn't immediately sealed off that area with his spiritual energy, it would have likely affected his combat abilities directly. The pressure from Chai's presence was overwhelming for him. He had never felt such a dense aura of death from any other assassin. Therefore, he immediately used his most proficient skill. Confronted by the sparkling rays of lightning from the lightning thrust, Chai didn't retreat. At this moment, she was like a wisp of smoke. Her body seemingly weightless, gently swaying under the lightning thrust's attack, but the lightning thrust's speed was so rapid, yet it couldn't strike her body, as she silently slipped through the gaps. If anyone still remembers McDull the Pig's previous performance, then they will notice the similarity between Chai's movements at this moment and McDull's evasion of the Ice Rain spell. Except that Chai's movements are more graceful and swifter. The middle-aged knight even felt as if his vision blurred for a moment, and Chai's figure had once again appeared in front of him, while his solar eclipse lightning thrust struck completely empty space. Shield arts, shield block and counterattack. The middle-aged knight shouted loudly, channeling his spiritual power into his shield, and activating the skill attached to his brilliant grade shield, making his shield arts 3 times larger than usual, completely protecting the front of his body. However, it was at this moment that Chai's figure disappeared. Yes, she vanished into thin air. Invisibility. Invisibility is one of the most crucial skills among the 6th rank assassin skills. And Chai had just reached the 6th rank, so she hadn't had time to practice it yet. Although she had her grandfather's heirloom ring, she still needed time to practice. What she used at this moment was the skill attached to her necklace. Suddenly, her back felt cold, followed by a sharp, intense pain from behind. The middle-aged knight instantly turned around to counter, but it was already too late. One strike hit its mark, and Chai's figure reappeared, and now it was her time to perform. Her movements were like an artful dance, guided by the wings on her back, and her attacks were like a torrential storm, producing a series of piercing metallic noises. Her dark gold daggers had the skill to penetrate, unleashing formidable power. Despite the middle-aged knight's desperate defense, he couldn't withstand Chai's elusive figure, and he was completely unable to resist. Throughout the fight, he didn't even have a chance to summon his riding companion. "That's enough, stop now." Ling Zhao's voice sounded timely. A black shadow flashed, and Chai had already landed 10 meters away. Her daggers also disappeared. Her gaze returned to normal, and the killing intent around her receded. The middle-aged knight, however, seemed as if he were drunk, swaying as he turned in circles, before finally stabilizing himself. A golden light flashed, and Ling Zhao appeared between them, looking at the middle-aged knight and saying, "She had at least 7 opportunities to kill you just now. In this match, you lost." The knight was breathing heavily and said, How could she be so fast?" He considered himself to have a decent level of cultivation, with a spiritual power of 7,500, but when faced with Chai's attacks, he felt completely powerless. At the beginning, he could still catch glimpses of Chai Er's figure, but as time went on, he could only see a faint shadow swirling around him. Ling Xiao calmly said, "Young man, your loss isn't unjust. Didn't you notice that she didn't use a powerful attack skill from beginning to end? As a 6th rank assassin, do you think she would lack such skills?" The knight sighed and said, but he still stood up straight and saluted Chai Er as a knight would, before leaving in disappointment. Chai Er became the first person to earn a spot to enter the illusory temple. Ling Xiao looked at Chai Er, his eyes filled with admiration. He knew very well that Chai Er's victory wasn't just about her skills and cultivation, it was her technique. In her attacking state, Chai Er was like flowing water, relentless and elusive, making it nearly impossible to defend against her. Moreover, her attacks were incredibly sharp, and even the defensive skills that protected her entire body couldn't withstand her for long. She truly deserved the title of Saintess of Reincarnation. The competition continued, and after 2 more matches, it was Long Haochen's turn to take the stage. He exchanged a glance with Chai Er beside him, and Long Haochen stood up slowly. Chai Er's insight even earned his admiration, as her flowing and relentless attacks were honed through continuous battles with the Red Skeleton. Furthermore, she made adjustments based on her own circumstances. They had the same teacher, but their abilities were undoubtedly different, which was a result of their different insights and personal conditions. As for the ancient martial techniques, who could understand them better than the 2 of them? Long Haochen's opponent was a female summoner, who appeared to be over 30 years old. When she saw Long Haochen taking the stage, Ling Xiao's eyes immediately lit up, and on the other side, Han Qian also sat up straight. Chai Er's performance could already be described as stunning. But what about Long Haochen? The female summoner had a rather ordinary appearance, and when she realized that her opponent was such a young and handsome boy, she couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. She smiled and said, "Little brother, please go easy on me." Long Haochen tapped his right fist on his left chest and performed a formal knight's salute. "Please advise me." The summoner faced the knight, and both of them moved 50 meters apart. "The match begins." The female summoner had a smile on her face, but her actions showed no mercy at all. She raised her light blue staff and chanted a few spells under her breath, causing the crystal at the top of the staff to emit a radiant light. And a silver hexagram quickly appeared in front of her. With a roar, a completely white leopard silently appeared in front of her, bowing down, and the summoner mounted it, all while keeping her gaze fixed on Long Haochen. She was eager to see what kind of mount companion he would summon. However, to her surprise, Long Haochen didn't summon a mount, but instead, he strode rapidly towards her, not summoning a mount. The female summoner's eyes showed a hint of surprise, and her white leopard she was riding started to move rapidly. This white leopard's speed is extremely fast, suddenly rushing forward, like a white lightning, and the rhythmic chanting of the female summoner followed suit. Seeing the speed of the white leopard, Long Haochen didn't continue his charge. He was well aware that, with his charging and assault speed, he couldn't catch up to the opponent, so he chose to stop. He silently watched the woman. At the same time, a golden light flashed, and light elemental elf Yiting appeared behind him, causing the observing hunters to gasp in amazement. Yiting, who had evolved twice, was far superior to ordinary elemental elves, with her 4 wings spread out, silently hovering behind Long Haochen, adding a touch of majesty to him. The female summoner had already completed her second summoning spell, accompanied by a low growl. A giant bear, its entire body radiating flames, walked out of the summoning formation. Roaring, it charged straight towards Long Haochen. The flame bear, the most powerful among the 6th rank magical beasts. Although 6th rank magical beasts are equivalent to 5th rank professionals, this creature's strength is on par with a 6th rank junior warrior. Using their full spiritual power, after summoning the flame bear, the female summoner visibly breathed a sigh of relief with the white leopard under her and the flame bear, knowing she wouldn't be easily defeated by a surprise attack from Long Haochen. Long Haochen stood still in his place, with his right hand holding Blue Rain, Light Lotus, and his left hand holding Light Punishment, both swords pointing diagonally towards the ground, calmly watching the flame bear charging towards him. The flame bear's massive body was nearly 3 meters in size, and it was rapidly approaching Long Haochen, its enormous paws raised high as it roared, striking fiercely at Long Haochen. As expected from the mightiest 6th rank magical beast, its paws created sonic booms in the air. In that very moment, Long Haochen's body moved slightly lower, his left foot pushing off the ground, and his entire body swiftly darted to the right. His body moved as gracefully as a cat, leaping out just in time from under the flame bear's paws. His movements didn't appear to be very fast, yet he narrowly avoided the flame bear's paws. It was precisely because of his seemingly slow speed that the flame bear's paws struck the ground with even more force. With a loud thud, the flame bear's paws slammed fiercely into the ground. At that moment, Long Haochen had already darted to the side of the bear's body. No one could see when Long Haochen had switched to holding Light Punishment in a reverse grip, but just as the flame bear was about to straighten its body, Light Punishment had already pierced deeply into its lower back. At the same time, Long Haochen used the momentum from his wrist, lifting his body upwards, causing blue rain, Light Lotus to emit a dazzling golden light. This radiance was entirely intrinsic to the blade, and it appeared deceptively light as it swept gently across the Flame Bear's neck. The Flame Bear, suffering from light punishments thrust into its lower back, raised its head in agony, inadvertently presenting its neck to Blue Rain, Light Lotus. In the next moment, its roar was completely muffled in its throat. With a gentle tap of his toes on the Flame Bear's back, Long Hao-Chen floated to a position 5 meters away. Only then did the massive body of the Flame Bear collapse like a toppled mountain. Its enormous skull rolled far away with a dull thud. In that instant, the entire arena fell silent. Everyone stared in disbelief at Long Hao-Chen. If Chai Er's attacks were too fast to follow earlier, then at this moment, Long Hao-Chen's attack left them awestruck. He didn't waste a single move. From the moment he darted out until the end, every action was seamlessly executed, and when the final move was executed, a 6th-rank magical beast had already fallen. His speed in defeating the bear was even faster than the female summoner's summoning magic. To describe his recent battle, one could only use the word perfect. Chai Er's attacks were like flowing mercury, whereas Long Hao-Chen's attacks were like the unobstructed flow of clouds. This was skill, a combat skill from ancient times. Long Hao-Chen's insight was truly astonishing, and his understanding of the Scarlet Skeleton's combat style surpassed that of Chai Er. It wasn't that Chai Er lacked insight compared to him, but rather that the Scarlet Skeleton's fighting style resembled that of a knight rather than an assassin, including the final strike, where Long Hao-Chen compressed the power of Radiant Sun slash entirely within Blue Rain, Light Lotus, which was also learned from the Scarlet Skeleton. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy to cut through the formidable body of the Flame Bear, even with Radiant's Ripple. You should concede, Long Hao-Chen said to the female summoner who, due to the earlier seen shock, failed to release her second summoning spell in time. How can this be? The female summoner stared blankly at Long Hao-Chen, her eyes filled with disbelief. The Flame Bear was a magical beast she frequently summoned, and she knew its strength very well, yet it had only lasted for 2 seconds against the radiant young knight before her. To be precise, it took Long Hao-Chen only 2 seconds to defeat it. This had completely exceeded the female summoner's comprehension. When had a knight's combat skills become so formidable? Moreover, she hadn't even seen what skills Long Hao-Chen had used. No, I refuse to concede. Even if I can't defeat you, you won't be able to catch up to me either. At most, we'll end in a draw, the female summoner stubbornly declared. Long Hao-Chen sighed inwardly. Could he really not catch up to her? Perhaps what the female summoner said could have been possible before the 6th rank, but now, blinding golden light radiated from behind Long Hao-Chen, and dazzling wings of light instantly spread out. In the next moment, as the wings of light flapped, Long Hao-Chen's body shot towards the female summoner like lightning. Chai Er could accelerate using his wings of light, so how could Long Hao-Chen not do the same? However, the female summoner was also stubborn, and she seemed to anticipate that Long Hao-Chen might use his wings to speed up. As soon as he released his wings of light, the female summoner unexpectedly summoned her own pair of pristine wings of light, and her wings flapped almost simultaneously with Long Hao-Chen's, aiding her white leopard in increasing its speed as it darted towards the side. However, what she didn't know was that Long Hao-Chen didn't actually need to reach her. Intense white light surged forth in an instant, and the female summoner suddenly felt a tremendous pulling force acting on her, causing her to lose her balance on the white leopard's back. In a cry of surprise, her body was pulled away, and naturally, Long Hao-Chen's dual swords came towards her. The pulling ability of the Holy Guiding Spirit Furnace, along with its second evolution, extended the range to 50 meters. If it were in the wilderness, the female mage might have been able to hold on a bit longer. But this is a trial ground, it's a circular arena, and for Long Hao-Chen to approach within 50 meters is just too easy. The dual swords lightly tapped her shoulder, and with a gentle pull on her robe, Long Hao-Chen had already come to a steady stop with the female summoner. I'm sorry, I won. The female summoner gritted her teeth as she looked at Long Hao-Chen, but deep in her eyes, there was a hint of fear. Is this young knight really only at the 6th rank? His strength is a bit too overwhelming. You see, the female summoner's own spiritual power has already exceeded 8,000, yet she couldn't even summon her most powerful summoning beast, and she already lost the match. Long Hao-Chen naturally won't delve into what she's thinking deep inside. In his heart, he only thinks of one word: Dream Paradise. Gripping his dual swords tightly, Long Hao-Chen looked towards his companions on the competition stage and silently said in his heart, Dream Paradise, here I come.